have never been done before.
We the people tell the government what to do. It doesn't tell us. We the people are the driver. The government is the car. And we decide where it should go and by what route to do. We the people are free. And I hope we have once again reminded people that man is not free unless government is limited.
Well, howdy, folks. Welcome to Friday. Got to be happy it's a Friday. Life, the universe, and everything is a little bright. I know my picture is pretty shocking, and I want to apologize to those of you who don't like my head phasing in and out of my background. I'm missing my overhead lights. The bloody thing stopped working, and it requires more than it's capable of me to get them back going again. And very disappointed, actually. I'm not going to name the company who provided them at a cost of about $140, I've got to tell you. But they're the outdoor kind of lights that I'm using indoor. They don't develop any heat. They're really nice, but they're only nice when they work. Anyway, first world complaints. Hope you're doing all right for a Friday. Looking forward to a weekend. And life, the universe, and everything goes well for you. A great day. Ben Robert Smith released on bail. But I do have a bit of a story to tell you about that, and it is ongoing. Joining me tonight to help tell stories is the man who usually does wondrous waving type things. And he returns with all sorts of surprises, including a broken computer, which doesn't sound terribly flash. And we do have a special...
Back together.
Not broken yet? All right, good. And we do have... and then we'll see how it goes. And we do have a special guest joining us. So, Vince, I need you to be in full-throated wonderfulness. And Connie, as she led the crew in the chat tonight, first one in the house, I think Deb Shippard was very close on her tail. I need you all to get together, stand to attention, and get ready to sing Happy Birthday. I don't normally do this for people. You know, everybody has a birthday once a year, and most of us don't like celebrating them after a certain age. However, on this occasion, I thought, look, it might be nice to get this bloke on. We've spoken a little bit about him recently, and who knows, for Friday night, they do call it the free-for-all for a reason. So on the count of three, will you all be upstanding, ladies and gentlemen, and please sing What the, or Greg, Happy Birthday, as he joins us live from the Sunshine Coast University Hospital. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. All right. We'll
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday,
dear Greg.
What the? Happy birthday to you.
Birthday to you. Nothing like being out of sync. Hooray!
Hip hip. Hooray. Yeah.
Hooray. And hip hip. And hooray.
I'm not sure he's even hearing us at the moment. We've been having all sorts of audio connections. Can you hear us? What the? Hello, testing. Wave if you can see us. No. No, I'm getting the feeling that they may well have cut the audio cord going into his hospital room there. Now I can't hear him at all. He's muted himself. No, unmute yourself, mate. Right. Okay. Yes, but you've muted yourself, buddy. So now we can hear you.
I can hear you. Yep, all good. That's good for me now. How about you?
You missed the whole happy birthday thing, didn't you?
Oh,
that's all right.
I missed that bit, yeah. But, well, practice makes perfect, so you've got plenty of time to practice.
I haven't been practicing.
Yeah, but I've had a pretty surreal.
No, I can't even do happy birthday on the harmonica yet, so you'll have to blow it yourself, so to speak.
Well, mate, it's worth the effort anyway. Any effort you put towards it, mate, it touches my heart, and so I have to express my gratitude for everything you've done, Carl. You've really made my stay up until now a lot more tolerable. I've really gone through the ringer in a lot of senses, and without you and the Voice of Freedom family, I don't think I'd be mentally capable of going much further. It's been really a huge ordeal. Still not out of the woods, of course.
You just want to explain to people what's happened. We're not showing photos, but just explain to people why you're in the Sunshine Coast University Hospital, and then we'll go into. I can see a sunflower in the background there, so we'll talk about that soon too. So why are you in the hospital?
Well, initially I had an operation about 18 months ago where I had an arterial bypass in my lower legs and my abdomen, just due to my working conditions, the fact that I was smoking and all these other external factors. But that seemed to solve all the issues, and I was back on full health. So I thought, I'm over all this. I'm back to 100%. Then about a year ago, I had a relapse where I was overconfident and I was backfilling a trench, pulling 30-kilogram chunks of clay back into the trench, and I'd separated part of the procedure. So the procedure had come apart and rushed back in. They put stents on either end, joined the two stents together, right as rain. Anyway, towards the end of March, I was still being active. I thought I was over it all again. I had no complications. I bought a new puppy dog. I was out on the beach nearly every day walking, and started feeling some discomfort in my leg again. And I thought, well, I'm due for my checkup, so I'll just hang for a couple of days, and I'll get in there, and they'll probably just see there's a minor thing to correct. Anyway, got in here, walked in on the 25th of March, and that's 3 and a bit weeks later, I've lost nearly half my foot. A bacteria attached itself to a bit of sand, like the very aggressive bacteria, which is basically there to clean up whale carcasses and fish that wash up on the sand. And it found a way into my system. And because of the reduced circulation, it was able to establish itself in my foot, and it turned parts of my foot black within hours. It was just the most amazing, not in a good way, but I couldn't believe what was happening. Because I'd always been fit and healthy and active, and I thought, well, heck, why is this happening to me? It's a very rare set of circumstances that sort of have to coalesce to make this happen, but I suppose you live and you learn, and as long as others don't follow your example, they can live and learn too. And but I've been,
But not only does it have life-changing consequences, obviously, for your foot and for the way you're going to approach walking for the rest of your life, but it's not just that. You were woken up this morning on your birthday, not by a bunch of stripper nurses in costume, but a bunch of doctors who were talking to you about never being able to walk on sand again and never being able to swim in the ocean unless it's the deep ocean, where you run no risk of a granule of sand washing into your bloodstream somewhere, somehow.
Exactly. I woke up, the United Nations of doctors were surrounding my bed. They all had their minutes worth of observation close range of my foot. The foot's not a pretty sight. It's a massive hole, basically. There's a couple of toes that aren't there. There's bones that have been cut off with my two toes as missing as a result. But they all together, had realised that this is not just a run of the day sort of thing that happens to most people. It's a pretty unique thing that occurs, that it has occurred to me. But yeah, it was probably the most if you were to say what's going to happen on your birthday morning, there would be odds of billions to one that you'd be surrounded by a team of United Nations doctors. And so, well, I suppose it takes all things to bring the world together, and that's one of the most unique things that could possibly happen.
And it's great that you're getting such great support. Sorry, Vince.
I don't know if Greg can hear me, but they finally figured. You can? Oh, good grief! They finally figured out what was the cause, but that only happened recently, didn't it? Up until then, they were stumped, or what was the deal?
My first procedure was just to clear the first blockage, which I thought was, the routine thing they've done before. So when I got back with my feet, I have been taking photographs of them, and the progression from first week in April, both feet were still fine, but it had gotten in. It had obviously gotten in because within a day, blackness had just picked up on one toe. One of the doctors, through observation, had peeled back a bit of skin accidentally, so that maybe let in oxygen to compound the situation, and then gone. It was so rapid. It was within one lot of bandages. You went from seeing a pretty normal foot. Like, I wouldn't say my feet are the healthiest looking things anyway, but you wouldn't say they were out of the ordinary. From that to the next day was, I mean, what's happening? What's happening to me? Yeah, it's not the and I was uncertain. I wasn't really given any answers because they weren't sure, because pathology had to do what it had to do. But I was rushed into, once it was established there was a delineation mark where they could say, well, this has to go. They took that off to pathology, ran the test to find out through their agar dishes and things what the actual bacterium was, and came back with a couple of long names that I have about 20 syllables in it that I've no chance of pronouncing. But
but it's not the ones. It's not the ones that Skipper Pete sent down from far north Queensland, because there's a lot of cases of something similar but different in far north Queensland at the moment.
Yeah, same but different. I was with when you sent that text across, Paul. I was like, Carl. I was lucky to have one of my main nurses here, and I said, "Is that what they're targeting? This particular bacterium?" He said, "No, that's not the one." So I'd say there's probably thousands and thousands of different species of bacterium. The ones around Beachmere probably have got their own unique way to decompose organic matter, and I'm basically made of organic matter. So I was on the menu. I was on the menu.
Yeah, and I think I've explained a couple of times that had you not have had an impaired vascular system while walking on the beach that had maybe a small cut on your foot, even if this bug had got into your body's immune system would have said, "Oh, no, I'm really healthy and there's no vein issue," so it would have killed that bug. But because it smelt that there was, your foot's not getting the right sort of blood supply, I reckon there's a feed here. That's how it's taken hold.
All it takes is its ability to grab some organic material and digest it, and it starts multiplying. And they multiply rapidly. It was so rapid. The spread across my foot was within a day. It was unbelievable how fast things deteriorated in areas of the foot that were showing pulse. Like once the numbers of bacteria were there, it didn't matter about blood flow. That had no bearing on the situation. It was a battle between the antibiotics that they were pumping into me and the bacterium. They rotate the antibiotics on different drips every second feeding. They change it over so they don't get immune to what they're aggressively attacking it with. So hopefully they can get on top of it completely. If not, there's still a small section that I might have to lose a bit of skin over, but it's not deep. I don't think so anyway. But I'm not out of the woods, but I'm feeling confident that with how they were doing it, they seem to know what they're doing now.
Now, yesterday you were visited by Paul and his wife. You didn't drink the beer. We just want to point that out. This was you having a bit of fun.
Yeah.
You've got far too many antibiotics in you at the moment to be drinking beer. Is that right?
Yeah, mate. It's I'm not a Forex drinker anyway, so anyone who knows me would know that would never happen anyway. They would know that.
There you go. And Katrina, who just put a comment up on the screen there, instead, Katrina and her other half, Justin, sent you this fruit bowl, or fruit box rather, and now that was yesterday, and today. First thing this morning after the UN doctor list walked out, you had a little present turn up with a sunflower stuck in the back of it, I noticed.
Yeah, the sunflower sent me a protein box with all different proteins. Both boxes have filled my heart with joy. I had the best passion fruit I've had since I was a kid. Passion fruit as big as that, and it was chock a block full of pulp and seed. And passion fruit is like living cells. You know, you're actually digesting living, and it becomes part of who you are. You are what you eat. So I've always been a big believer in getting the best quality foods into you, especially the more I sort of live my life and experiment with what I eat. Proteins and living cells, trying to avoid carbs as much as I can. And like, I was healthy. I really, like a month ago, I was running around like on the beach, you know, chasing my new, 4-month-old puppy around. His name's Max. He's a little legend. Miss him a lot. And I was just about ready to get my vehicle, which I'd taken a few months to get ready, on the road, go out and do a bit of gold prospecting and get away from all the BS around civilization and find my tribe, but then rock onto the cruise. And I sort of had a path that I was establishing, thinking it was all mapped out, ready for me. But no, the best laid plans for mice and men, mate. But,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, the plan is that you will still be on the cruise, leaving the 4th of May, and you might still be limping a bit, or you might have to be in a chair or whatever. I have arranged a parrot for the trip, so we just need the pirate hat now. But we'll get it. We'll get it. Sort of got a few weeks left. We'll get that sorted. We do have your cruise shirt ready to go, I've got to tell you, and thank you very much to Beckio, who designed the back half of that. And I'm not showing it to anybody because that's going to be for when you get to the boat. You'll probably find myself wearing it, and maybe Tony, and depending on you and how you're going to get to the boat, because I might have to drive up to the Sunshine Coast and get you yet, might I?
Well, I with my first injury, I was able to teach myself how to right foot clutch. So I can, and both my cars are manual transmissions. So
I'll stop you there. Just in case Queensland Police are watching, I'll be driving up to pick up Greg if that is required for the boat ride. Yeah, there'll be no right foot clutching.
Mate, I find a way to do things. That's sort of been the course of my life. If there's an obstacle in front of me, I find a way around it. And no matter what happens, mate, I'm going to find a way around any obstacle to get onto the cruise ship. Because I think initially there was a concept that I dreamed of myself, to be able to take the Freedom family aboard and get to know each other on a personal level and one-on-one, and at various times. So I'll fix this for the world, really. I'll break boundaries to get there for sure. If I have to escape the hospital, so be it, mate. So be it. The number one.
You've got a son who's traveling with you for that, coming with us?
Yeah. My son, he's a 15-year-old superstar. I was pretty awake pretty early on in the 2000s, and I had a partnership, and we produced a son, and he's unjabbed, totally healthy. He's the fittest kid you can meet. He makes sporting team rep squads. He's actually playing men's volleyball as a 15-year-old in Brisbane in A grade. And he got a scholarship. They were living in Tin Can Bay, because I appreciated the fact that they moved up to Tin Can Bay to give them like a country upbringing. Yeah. Anyway, Tin Can Bay started competing in the national volleyball tournaments and beating sides like Scotch Grammar and Melbourne High School, all these private schools that have thousands and thousands of dollars planned into their sporting facilities. This is a bunch of odds and sods from up at Tin Can Bay. So he stood out as a sporting sort of kid. Basketball was his first passion. Yeah, but he's got a scholarship now. He's being able to live in south side of Brisbane, and he's at a high school that has sporting opportunities, and he'll probably one day make the Olympics. So his passion and his desires are all sort of coming together. So anything I can do to help, I do.
You can rest assured, mate, I'll keep him away from the bad influences that are going to be on the cruise ship.
I'll be with him, mate, so you can't be doing that.
Very good, very good. All right. Well, let's move on to a few of the things that have happened this week. Big news today is Ben Roberts-Smith has been released. Well, is supposed to have been released from Silverwater Prison. Now, I can tell you that as of about 5:15 this afternoon, he was still locked up at Silverwater. That might have changed in the last little while, but Ben's parents, who have had to pay $250,000 as a bond to get their son released today, and that figure was made aware to them at midday today, and they've been back at the court trying to pay that money pretty much ever since to facilitate the paperwork so that he could be released today. Well, at 5:15 this afternoon, Ben Roberts-Smith's mum, Sue, discovered that they were locked in the court. Everybody, no one to be seen, but the court building had been closed, end of day, I suppose 4:30. So she and her husband, wanting to pay this $250,000 bond and get the paperwork sorted, were still being, I would say, screwed around royally by the court system. And of course, they weren't deliberately being locked in. It was just that, they weren't letting anybody else in. And they were going to have Mr. and Mrs. Roberts-Smith stand there for as long as they require. And then once the paperwork is all processed, one of the points in that paperwork can take between 12 and 24 hours before the paperwork becomes effective and gets to Silverwater before his release. Now, Ben's partner was in the car on the way to Silverwater, like I say, at about 5:15. And she was expecting to be there prior to 6 o'clock. I'm sure the network news people would have had, and I know that there was a large amount of people gathering around the prison and a huge media contingent hoping to get some eyes on Ben. I don't know whether or not that'll happen. The helicopters would have been buzzing overhead, and their 6 o'clock news bulletins may or may not have kicked off with some news about it. So it might have changed since we've been on air, but that essentially looks to me like they were trying to keep him in another night at the very least. But I can give you some information on what it's been like for him in there, some pretty accurate information. Nobody in the remand unit that Ben is in believes Ben should be inside. And I mean that from the prisoners all the way through to the prison guards who are responsible for locking his door and keeping him safe. And keeping him safe, they are. Ben faces no threat and has faced no threat in the last 9 days from anybody inside the remand unit. And he has been...
Who'd want to take him on in the first place?
Well, I can't imagine, but I really can't imagine. However, everybody is of the opinion he should not be there. And one of the big moves that I'm led to believe that was undertaken when the prison was made aware, because the prison was made aware that they were going to arrest him and that he would be coming in on that day, the prison removed all Islamic jihadis or, extremists, not just from remand, but from the prison, and moved them to Park Lee. So screaming, cheering, jeering, carrying on, trying to, upset Ben, throw threats at Ben, wasn't ever going to happen. So thank you to the correction system for looking after him in that way. They have a great duty of care to protect him from anybody that would try and do him harm, because at the end of the day, he doesn't need too much protecting from anyone. But what a story it would make if he had to protect himself in there and that person wound up dying of a, one punch syndrome. You don't need to be an SAS officer to kill someone with one punch. We've got plenty of evidence of that from kids years gone by. So it's just good that I think that the SAS guys have, the corrections people have really taken to it and undertaken a protective role over him, which I think is great. Channel 7 has a photo of him in a car with a partner. Excellent. There is, so that means he's out. So thank God for that. I think there would have been a huge hue and cry if they had tried to keep him in an extra night. The justice system or the court system, the way that was playing out, clearly going as slow as it possibly could. What will this do to the Australian military? Well, I can tell you, Crunch, it's done a great deal to the veteran community. It doesn't matter whether you're Army, Navy, or Air Force. I've been speaking in the last week. I have been speaking with some highly decorated, some extremely highly trained, and some extremely motivated people who know a great deal about these times in Afghanistan and going into other areas that this OSI has a regard for. And I'm talking about the Iraq battles from the 2000s. There is no respect anymore for the military. Veterans are handing their medals back. Now, it started with Bob Catter. A veteran in Innisfail walked into Bob Catter's office up there and put all these medals back on Bob's desk and said, "You can take those back to Canberra and tell them to shove them up there, Jaxie. I want nothing to do with them." And that has been followed around the country at RSLs left and right. I am very interested to see what happens this Anzac Day. And you can go, of course, to our website, voffhq.com, and download our poster done up by Becky O from Truth Seekers that says, "I support Ben Roberts-Smith," and hold it up. Even just put it on your phone so that you can, walk around and show people while you're having a beer with them in the RSL. It's been my experience with RSL clubs that the only thing they do for veterans is Anzac Day, and they make a lot of money out of the beer sales that day, I can tell you, and meals and everything else. But most of them, particularly the sub-branch RSLs, they've sold the RSL name to a corporation that is running pokies and meals and beer, basically, as a business model. And they give a very, very tiny percentage to that sub-branch, so the earnings I'm talking about, a very, very tiny percentage of the earnings to the sub-branch in return for being able to call themselves the RSL. Come down the RSL, have a go on the pokies, ching. I've don't like that business at all, but I understand it's the only way to keep some of these sub-branches alive. And I think it is very important, for the most part, that the RSLs do stay alive, even if many of them are run by pompous old bastards who are following the old way. And hopefully that is changing. I know it certainly is in some places. There are a lot of younger return veterans now taking positions of office in RSLs around the country, and that can only be a good thing as far as I'm concerned. But what's going to happen, Vince? What do you think is going to happen on Anzac Day? Will there be a huge swell of support for Ben Roberts-Smith this day, a show of it?
Yeah. One of the things that's happening right now is that patriots and patriotism is returning to Australia, finally, right? A lot of the older people have sort of put it down for a while. They're stepping back up, recognising they're Australian, recognising Australians' options. And hello, Greg, put you back in. And because of that, I think the younger people are starting to learn as well of what it's about.
So Greg? I think we've got a bit of a lag.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Time to settle in. So, along with that, patriotism. Oh, drop. Yep. No, sort of halfway there, Greg. You just got to get the phone in the right spot, Stick your hand up in the air or wave it around or something. But a lot of that patriotism that's kicking in at the stage of the game is also showing up in other things. For instance, the South Australian, let's check out, we found extra 81 votes, etc., and so on, and whatever for one nation.
Just explain that for people, because one of the people I'm going to be interviewing, I was meant to do it today, but we'll do it tomorrow. We're going to talk about the AEC and the corruption that he found during the last federal election. So when we heard tell that there were these new votes and only a small number of them discovered unread or uncounted, and it just happened to be a number of them enough to swing the vote to the Liberal Party if they all happen to flow that way, I was very, very suspicious.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of precedents. I mean, it was an AEC, or the South Australian Electoral Commission's fault. They didn't do a good job on making sure that they had all of their ducks in a row, and they knew what was counted off the electoral roll, and obviously it didn't match the number of votes that were counted. So they'd lost some somewhere, and they eventually found them, right? But after it had already been declared. Now, because it's been declared, theoretically, there could be a challenge to the courts of appeals for voting, only if the votes made a difference to the actual winner, right? And as it is, they've counted these 81 votes, and we have numbers. We actually have numbers. So Chantel Thomas won this election with 58 votes over the opposing party. She's now won it by 74.
Whoa.
Whoa. So it actually went in her favour. All those extra votes that were there went in her favour. So, of course, they're not going to do anything. They don't need to change the writ because it's still the same person, etc., and so on. So, in one respect, very suspicious that they found the 81 votes. In the other respect, it shows that it was a legitimate mistake, which still needs to be corrected by the South Australian Electoral Commission. They shouldn't have ever had that happen because of the processes. But it was a legitimate mistake, and the votes didn't swing the way everybody was suspecting they would. So
that certainly scared the bejesus out of them, I reckon.
Sorry?
I'm pretty confident that would have scared the bejesus out of them.
Yeah. Well, looks like Watler's back. How you going there, mate?
Yeah, getting there, mate. I've got a shorter power lead, but as soon as I plugged in and got back into the into here, my power hasn't gone up any at all. The phone's hot as. Some crazy stuff happening, but it went from 0 to 10 while I was in the chat for a minute. So now it hasn't gone up any more, and it's been plugged in 3 times as long. So, mate, it's not the first time I've experienced.
The camera, it's the streaming and the camera in phones tend to burn them up pretty quick and use a hell of a lot of power. So that's not surprising at all.
So we might say our farewells to you and let your phone not burst into flames around the oxygen that's just over your left shoulder, and and we'll wish you all the best so you don't keep everybody else in your ward 4C, folks, at the Sunshine Coast University Hospital, bed number 9. If you want to send him a late birthday card, or you want to pop in if you're going to see somebody else at SCU over the weekend, head up to the green end, take the green lift to the 4th floor, look for 4C, bed 9, right down the end.
I have been informed that I've got 3 further weeks of antibiotic courses I have to be treated for, and that should bring us right up to the cruise date. Now, what happens to my healing, that's going to be the critical factor. I've got a procedure coming up next week where they're inserting a scaffolding for the skin to grow over. If that takes, then all should be good.
Yeah, so once that's on, they'll add, a bit like a burns victim, they'll add skin, which your own skin will then adhere to, and then grow through.
Yeah. So, but so I think the antibiotic course that they want me to go down is sort of mandatory because of the aggressive nature of what I've had to encounter. But even though, I think even if that has to be extended, there's ways of having oral antibiotics. So it's by no means that I'm going to be in this prison for too much longer than I only anticipated being a week at the start. So I think it might extend out to about 6 weeks when it all gets calculated. But I've got my heart set on the cruise, and if I get disappointed in a possibility, even though I'm going to be jumping over every wall possible to get there, I'll organise another one.
Well, just if you're going to jump over anything, do it with your right foot, will you? Just for the time being.
What was that, Carl?
Can't take you anywhere, Carl. I honestly can't take you anywhere.
If you're going to jump over anything, do it with your right foot.
Yeah, well, I used to be pretty proficient at athletics and long jump, triple jump, sprints and stuff. But so my jumping abilities are there. Whether it's high, I'm not quite sure if it's over, but if it's long enough, I used to be able to get over it. And I was a right foot jumper, so that's in my advantage. But like I said, if I've got to kick off, mate, I've got the penetration as well as the impact. So we're going to be a lean, mean fighting machine.
Mate, I'll bring a netball skirt. I've always found I was able to play better hopscotch if I was in a netball skirt. So we'll see if that helps you.
I would not pay to see that.
Have yourself a great weekend and what's left of a very happy birthday, buddy.
Yeah, on the bright note, you still get the shirt.
Blessings to all.
Still get the shirt.
Look at the shirt. Oh, well, that'll be a collector's item. That'll go for millions of dollars in the future. But still, the family is what's got me through this. And Carl being the I'd say a guru. But I'd say that, but it's probably got a bit of a connotation involved with it. But
there's probably a trademark on that. And please don't get me aligned with that at the moment. There's a big defamation case around that. No, I don't want to know about that. So.
But no, Carl, I've really got to give you my heartfelt thanks for all you do for everybody in the Freedom family. Without you, we wouldn't have a central figure to coordinate around. So, mate, my appreciation to you will be expressed in time. You'll never see the end of me bugging you for me to help you for whatever causes you have coming in front of you, mate. I'm going to be not your lapdog, but I'll be your obedient servant. How's that sound?
You're going to need to get better with computers and graphics and phones. Here's the hip.
Well, mate,
it's the only reason he puts up with me. What? I'm a quick learner. And Vince, you're the glue that holds all the fibers together. So yeah, both of you guys, hats off to you both. It's made my scary tolerable for sure, and if not, I've been anticipating the next sort of thing that comes along with joy, and it brings tears to my eyes when a package walks through the door, and I just it's the appreciation, and I'm going to try and pay back as much as I can, and mate, everything happens for a reason. So in time those reasons become obvious, but I think this has put me on track to not to be so selfish in my future time. I'm going to share it with the family to really to get people like us so that we can feel like we've got each other to lean on, and if I can network and help each other out, and that's what you do anyway. So I'd enjoy doing that myself. So anyway, heartfelt thanks again, and this is definitely my most memorable birthday that I've had since my 21st. And I can't remember that because I was drunk, but yeah.
I was going to say, there'll be no hangover for this one tomorrow, just a nice bit of fruit.
Well, you never know. They might slip a little bit of vodka into the
drip.
Into the drip.
There's a senior nurse here. His nickname is Grumpy, and everybody calls him Grumpy. But I'm on his good books, so I want to keep on his good books.
Do that. All right, mate. Good luck, and we'll talk again in the near future, no doubt.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys.
Let that phone cool down before it cooks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, unplug it. Well, getting out of StreamYard and going back to YouTube will probably help you. So I might kick you out of the studio if you don't do that yourself.
Well, even if he just turns off the camera, that would do it. He can stay in.
Yeah. Oh, well, he'll figure it out one way or the t'other. Now, speaking of the Voice of Freedom family, this whole thing with Greg and others has got me thinking. And I realised that I've been a bit Queensland bound with those people that I can physically turn up and see. And not that I feel there is any great benefit in me turning up to help you in any way, shape or form, but apparently the people I turn up and see feel there's a bit of a benefit in me turning up. So that has meant I've been able to grow this Voice of Freedom family very easy. There are people all over the country who are warm, caring, sharing, lovely people who want to support everybody in this Voice of Freedom family. And I was talking to Becky O from Truth Seekers about it this morning. And she said, oh, hang on a minute, have a look at this. And my phone went ding. And she sent me through this to begin with, which I think is just an awesome poster, an awesome sign of what we do, really, isn't it? God, she's very talented. Becky O from Truth Seekers. If you need some artwork done, she's cheap too. And then she did another version, which yeah, that's right. Yeah, well, we've got no money. We can't pay her, but she's very understanding and very tolerant that way. What can I say? And this is the other one that she's put up for me today. So I'll send. I think I have sent those through to you, Vince. You can figure out what we're going to do with these. But I reckon we can put these on mugs at the very least, and you never know. There might be. Vince and I were recently struggling with what to put on one of our sleeves of a shirt. And I'm starting to think that something like this, Vince, would look pretty nice on the sleeves of our shirts in our merch area too.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it would fit though, because they're an A4 type thing. So would have to.
Isn't it lucky we know? Isn't it lucky we know the artist, and she seems capable of doing things like resizing shit. Which is well,
she's just a champion. And I'm sorry I didn't get to your call, by the way. I will return a call, Becky.
You will return. I will return your call. Want to talk about Victoria Police for a minute? Things they are. There is. If you haven't been able to recognise the Victoria Police badge in a while, the Roman wreath surrounding the pentagram, the upside down star there. And of course, let's not get me started on whose crown that is at the top there. The Victoria Police, shock, horror, gasp, are trying to hide some information from everybody. The LDR firearms database has been breached. Now, the National Security Council has been told by reliable sources that allegedly a major security breach of the licensing registration database, the firearms database, has occurred, and they've been told that Victorian police have been trying very hard to prevent the knowledge of this coming out. More information will be available as it comes to hand. Who would be interested in getting a copy of the firearms database, would you think?
ASIO, because they're already in the news.
Ah, yes, well,
we'll get to that one in a minute. Maybe we can't, in case they come and get me and then I can't talk about it because I'm not allowed to talk about it. And if they ask me questions, I have to answer. So I've actually worked out an answer. I can't recall. I'm answering the question. I can't recall.
I don't answer questions.
No, that's a statement.
I don't answer questions.
Yeah, you have to answer that. Well, I suppose you could, but then they can use that to throw you in jail.
Anything you give them can and will be used against you, whether it's ASIO or anybody else. And I believe under these new laws that are not yet in force, people, I keep seeing posts that this is already in force. It is not. No, it has to be voted on in the Senate. Yeah. So don't get carried away. But so far, it has Labor and Liberal full support. The Greens are going to push it. There's no reason it's not going to go through unless you contact your senator and tell them this bill cannot go through, the ASIO amendment bill, right?
Yep.
You've got to contact your local senator. You tell them how pissed off you'll be if they vote for that. You tell them if they vote for that, they've lost your vote at the next election, because that's how serious this is. As Vince said, ASIO can pick either of us off the street and interrogate us for a week and then we can't tell each other that we were picked up or we were interrogated, or we can't tell you. I figure we need to work out a little code. Might be a blinking, flashing light or something. But they're going to compel you to speak in some cases. Well, what are they going to compel you to say? I got nothing to say. I know nothing. I don't recall. And they're going to throw you in jail for that.
Therefore, you can't get done for not answering the question.
Yeah.
Unlike in previous legislation where silence is one of your rights, they take that away in this piece of legislation, which is why it can't be. If you say, I refuse to answer that question, they'll throw you in jail.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm just going to use the Dan Andrews model. It seems to work for him.
Yes. 100%. I wonder if it'll work for Ben Roberts-Smith.
Maybe. That was such a long time ago, yeah.
Well, I'm not even sure that the 80-year-old who saw him allegedly kick a bloke off a hill from 300 meters away, 80 years old, and had really bad eyesight. I'm not even sure if he's still alive. But he might be the Uber driver in Adelaide that is also out here from Afghanistan after giving evidence. And there are some that have some, thank you, Pope Master. There might be some others who are in different parts of Australia just waiting to leap out and embarrass themselves publicly at this trial, because that's exactly what it will be. And they will be identified publicly as well, which they may or may not really want to
it would be very interesting, actually, as this goes forward over the next year or so, just to see the numbers that will be coming into the Army or the Air Force or the Navy and how much they've dropped. Right, that will be very interesting. And that's going to Crunchy. That's about the fourth time you asked the question. So there's my answer. Yes, I believe they will drop.
I'm sure they will drop. I wrote an email to Defence Force Recruiting, and I encourage you to do the same, explaining that if you have previously recommended the Defence Forces as a career path for our young men and women of this country, and you won't do it anymore, like me, I won't. And I've been a great recruiter for them, quietly in the background, for 50 bloody years, just about. For the first 18 years of my life, all I wanted to do was join the Navy. And when I couldn't do that, I got into the radio game and eventually wound up working very closely with Defence, promoting Defence recruiting. We were doing Defence Force recruiting seminars, and through those, I was lucky enough to go to and participate and do things in the Defence Forces that many people who join and do 20 years in never get to do, like fly in F-111, fly in an F-18, spend some time on a submarine, spend some time as part of a tank crew, live firing a tank, getting ready for the El Alamein firepower demonstrations, of which I was lucky enough to be at 2 of. I did 2 weeks of a sniper course. I've been very lucky to do a whole heap of things over the years, all so that I could speak on the radio and promote the shit out of Defence Forces and what great careers they have. Well, I've written to them and saying I will never promote them again as long as the brass are going to be hiding in the way that they are in this Ben Roberts-Smith saga. And they probably say, oh, who the hell are you? I mean, they'd have to look my name up, because I haven't been what you'd call actively on the radio for quite a few years now and promoting them. But it still meant a lot to me. And I feel very strongly the 6 to 10 people that I've friends that I've directly steered into these careers. And then I don't know how many others that I've encouraged to do so because they heard me on the radio, describing the great time I was having doing these great things. So I'm embarrassed now to admit that I've done that. And that's what I expressed in this letter. I will never recommend them as a career path again. And in fact, I would, and I said in this, I would recommend any current serving enlisted or officer to consider what they're going to do when their service becomes due. I know many of them are walking away now. I think a lot more of them will. There are young men who are being bribed to stay in, and there are very experienced people who are being bribed, and when they're not taking the bribe, they are actively being forced to stay in. And I'm speaking there particularly of flight crews. But there are a lot of electronic weapons people who have said, I've been going for 4 years, or I've done 8 years, or I've done whatever. I'm really over it. I'm sick and tired of the bullshit. And it is bullshit. The way the Defence Forces are run from the top down, it's amazing that we have any kind of competency in our Defence Forces at all. It is only because of the good men and women who are actually on the ground rather than at a bloody desk in Canberra that we actually have decent Defence Forces. But those people in the hierarchies, I don't care whether it's Army, Navy or Air Force, bureaucrats, shiny bums, political appointees that are a waste, and worse than a waste, a danger to Australia's future, including the new chief of the army, the DEI appointed, whatever her name is, Coyle. Susan Coyle, is it? Or is that Susan Boyle? I was thinking of, I don't know. You know what that woman, what that woman got a Distinguished Service Medal for, DSM? She got a DSM for going to Afghanistan. You know what she did in Afghanistan? She lost
the rifle.
her weapon. Lost her rifle.
Do you have a picture of her there still? Or the two new DEI hires?
I can reload it. Give me a moment. What would you like to say about her?
I just want to see what's on the shoulders.
Hang on a minute.
Not all the medals, but I want to see what's on the shoulders.
Well, I know that between the head of the Feds and the head of the Army, they've both got independently more medals than Ben Roberts-Smith. And this girl on the right lost her distinguished service, got her Distinguished Service Medal in Afghanistan after losing her rifle.
Can't really see what the crest is on the shoulder, but it doesn't look like any stars or anything. But then,
no,
okay.
I think she's a lieutenant general. I think.
Okay.
Is the rank, and I'd love to know how long she's been serving, because she might be a very young looking lady, but to me she looks like early 30s, early to mid 30s, which means if she's done 20 years, she started when she was 15, let's say. And it doesn't strike me as a career path you're going to get to in 20 years, do you? I would think 35 plus years to become head of the army, wouldn't you think? Oh, I don't know. I guess if you've got boobs and lost your rifle, it's all good. When you've got the Labor Party there ready to give you a DEI appointed kiss on the forehead. I said forehead. There was another F word I was going to use, but I wanted to, what have we got? We got a few minutes left. I wanted to talk briefly about people who don't want to vote and people who see us as having no future voting. So what's the point? And I have been one of those people.
Don't even get me started. Don't get me started. You'll be sorry. Age 55.
So
she's 55. In case you're wondering. Susan Cole.
Oh, okay. Right. Oh, well, she's holding her age well.
Joined in 1987 as a reservist. So there we go.
Well, there you go. Part-time to head of army.
Oh, yeah, she went to the Royal Military College in 92. Has experienced over 3 decades of experience, including roles in cyber warfare and senior command. Previously served as Chief of Joint Capabilities. Interesting. Cyber
I hope
warfare.
none of it. Yeah. I might know someone who had her as a boss.
Anyway, you were going down before we go to voting, because I told you start that right now, 4 minutes before we end. You're in trouble. So don't.
What voting are you talking about?
Voting for political parties. So, but I am going to say in the last 4 minutes, have we got a suggestion for what we could do or what we could give out to the family members?
I think it has to be an award. I think it has to be an award that we decide, because there have been some people this week who've gone over and above to bring a bit of joy into Greg's life this week. And there are others in other parts of the country doing the same thing. Some I have something to do with, some I have very little to do with. But these people are out to help others all the time. And I'd love to be able to give them some kind of an award, the VOFF award. The VOFF
award.
be very special to win a VOFF. So, yeah. So anyway, if you've got suggestions, we'd love to hear them. Vince or Carl at
there's a monitored caps. Understanding that for everything that we give out, like the shirts and stuff that we've done for the cruise, right? Everything that we do like that is literally money that we have to either find or have at the time. And as in the case with the cruises, right, that money came out of what you guys have been donating to us and what we've managed to sell and a little bit of merch that we've sold. So, of course, we broke the bank doing that. So, effectively, we've got to be careful. It needs to be something that's going to be valuable, but not expensive. Okay? And no, I'm not doing the crypto show every second week. Now I'm putting that to bed for a while. I don't have time to keep up with it.
Very good, very good. I emailed you some things I hope you'll put up on our website as well. I created this one today. Australia does not need to buy food from China. Australia just needs to back Australian farmers. And that's been shared quite a lot since last night's show today. Please, you can get it on my Facebook page shortly. I don't think I've got this one on Facebook. I think I've got this one, which doesn't have Voice of Freedom on it, but I don't mind which one you share. But you will be able to download those. I hope Vince will put them up at vofhq.com if I ask him politely, and show your support. We should have those as stickers, maybe, or something on a cup as well, Vince. But Australians would do very well to support our farmers. We don't need anything from China. We just need to reestablish our own manufacturing capability, and it is possible. So I urge you to get onto it. Vincenzo, been a pleasure. Thank you again for being awake for certain portions of this week and the small parts where you wanted to play part of the show.
Yep, all right. And we can get into a discussion about voting at another stage, mate.
Yeah. You started talking about all other stuff, so I haven't got enough time now. And thank you for the work that you're doing on the computer, because the new computer has arrived. Vince, being Vince, promptly took a screwdriver to it, pulled it apart, discovered that it probably has the same issues that I have, and is fixing them. So
I stress tested it. I did stress test it beforehand, Carl, and it ran. Oh yeah. Even though it ran hot, all right, it ran solidly hot with both the graphics card going full bore and the CPU going full bore as well, and it still managed to keep going, unlike your current fried piece of stuff that you have there.
Oh, it runs solidly hot, all right. I mean, it's so solidly hot you could boil an egg on it without any fear of the goo going down in between the keys.
I was just thinking that when you do a show, you should just get yourself a little rack and stick over the top of the keyboard, stick your frying pan up and cook yourself up some meals while you're actually doing the show. Think of the amount of energy, because we could sell this to the Parliament and they could do a $20 million ad on it.
Start waving. Start waving. There's Vince's $20 million idea for the day, folks. He get onto it, because I'm bloody sure he's about to. So if you're fast, you might be able to beat him to it. Have yourself a great weekend. Enjoy whatever it is you're doing. I hope you get to do it with family and friends that are dear to you. If you do have to do it while taking a road trip, then please be safe on the roads. To Lynn and your traveling partner on the road especially, looking forward to catching up with you in Airlie. So be safe if you guys are traveling over the weekend and avoid the dickheads at all costs. Love you all.
You Bye. Let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!